Bonjour. J'avais écrit un texte sur qu'est-ce que ça représentait que d'être une éducatrice en temps de pandémie pour moi. Puis c'était un super bon texte, mais plus je le relisais, plus il semblait faux, en fait, parce que les mots que je voyais décrits sur mon écran, c'était pas vraiment les mots que j'avais en tête. Parce que quand j'écrivais sur l'importance du lien d'attachement entre une éducatrice, les enfants et leurs apprentissages, mais j'avais en tête des recherches d'Harvard sur la trajectoire de vie et sur l'importance des expériences de vie vécues par les enfants dans la petite enfance, dans les premières années de leur vie. Quand j'écrivais sur les intentions pédagogiques qui sont cachées derrière chaque petit geste des éducatrices, j'avais en tête Hattie et ses données probantes sur l'importance de la fréquentation d'un service de garde de qualité pour les enfants. Puis j'ai réfléchi, puis je me suis rendu compte que je m'étais empêchée de dire ce que j'avais en tête. Je me suis mitigée un peu parce que j'avais peur d'être trop politisée. Puis en réfléchissant, j'en suis venue à la conclusion que bien que même si je décidais de prendre en compte ce point de vue-là politique, mais ça restait omniprésent dans mon rôle d'éducatrice. Parce que quand on parle de politique, mais on parle de subventions ministérielles, puis on parle de services publics nécessairement. Donc, tout est interrelié. Ici au Québec, la majorité des services de garde éducatifs, ils sont régis et subventionnés par le ministère de la Famille. C'est un ministère qui, j'en suis certaine, est rempli de bonnes intentions et a à cœur le développement des enfants, mais c'est aussi un ministère qui coupe dans le financement des services de garde depuis des années et nos services de garde ont de la difficulté à offrir des services de qualité aux enfants. On a des services de garde qui doivent gérer des ratios, des subventions, les conditions de travail du personnel, en plus des enfants qui présentent de plus en plus de difficultés d'adaptation et d'apprentissage. Et les répercussions, ils commencent à se faire sentir de plus en plus et ça nous inquiète, nous, les éducatrices. Parce qu'être éducatrice, c'est aussi connaître l'impact des services de garde sur la qualité c'est aussi connaître l'impact des services de garde de qualité sur les chances de réussite scolaire des enfants qui les fréquentent. C'est aussi voir les services de garde qui peinent à offrir des services de qualité à ces enfants-là. Être éducatrice, c'est un métier demandant avec des avantages sociaux qui sont peu avantageux, puis un salaire qui l'est encore moins, malheureusement. On a de la difficulté à recruter du personnel qualifié. Et plutôt que de reconnaître l'importance de la petite enfance et de ses acteurs en améliorant les conditions de travail puis en valorisant notre profession, mais on diminue encore les ratios d'éducatrices qualifiées dans nos centres, dans nos services de garde. Mais être éducatrice, c'est aussi tout faire pour que les enfants dont on s'occupe ne se rendent jamais compte qu'on n'a pas les moyens ni le temps de subvenir à leurs besoins. Être éducatrice, c'est de savoir que même si la science nous confère un rôle fondamental dans le développement des enfants, mais on a encore besoin que la société, bien, elle lise les données.
Merci beaucoup, Véronique, pour cette position et cette affirmation de tes pensées. We are grateful for Véronique's ideas being put out. I will now ask Song what her is taught about this topic.
Hi again, everyone. So first of all, being an early childhood educator during this time is not easy. And especially our job in general, we are a person who develop community, a person who support the whole family, a person who care for those vulnerable children, right? At this point, I think the most challenging thing for myself is how do we keep and stay connected with family. Those meaningful and value connections become remotely, become 2 meters apart, become, almost impossible in some ways, in some center. And I think now is the time that we realize how we as an educator evolve and adapt to the situation. We all, I would say, ECEs across Canada, we are a survivor and the fighter. How many of us buy a new device, learn how to use technology, jump right into virtual learning without knowing anything 2 years in college, we never taught how to, implement playbase in online platform. Now we create I would say us as an ECE, I'm so proud to be a part of this community and work for this sector, because we paved the way for those children that we work with every day, and we support the family. Like we make a phone call, hop on a Zoom call. Right now, I think we need to be seen, and people need to realize how important early childhood education it is. As we always say, education is the foundation. Who built the foundation? Those early years educator, that is us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. So we're hearing the pandemic gave us an opportunity to develop new skills also. And thank you. We're moving on to Christina from New Northwest Territory. What are your thoughts on this?
Hi again. Yes, I feel as though in my context, a lot of it has to do with adaptation and resiliency, and like you said, a lot of learning of new skills that as a teacher of young children, I've always felt the role of the caregiver and the mentor and the observer and a collaborator. But I'm feeling through this pandemic and our distance learning, as well as our return to school, as Song mentioned, a lot of new roles that we're taking on of being our own tech support and learning how to moderate a Zoom call with 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, and how to help families to stay connected and helping them to get onto those tech things that, not everyone is the most tech savvy person, and myself is included in that. But also with our return to school, one thing we have to do is screen children every day for COVID symptoms, which is a new skill and a task, and helping them to understand what does shortness of breath mean? What does that look like? And with 4-year-olds, they're kind of like, yeah, I'm okay. And just helping them to, it's almost as though we're healthcare workers in that way a little bit. And then also with sanitizing and making sure that everyone is staying safe being in person. I feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to teach in person, but it's trying to maintain those sanitation requirements of cleaning after use, or allowing 72 hours between use of different materials in order to be able to be open and to keep everyone safe and healthy. So I feel as though with the fear of jumping from remote to in-person to remote learning, it's a lot of adaptation for ourselves, for me as a teacher, and for the children. So
thank you for sharing your experience with us. Mallory, do you want to express yourself about this topic?
Sure. So what does it mean for me to be an ECE in this moment in time? So during this pandemic, I do find it really challenging times. I guess to keep in mind is that I am from Six Nations Reserve. That's where I live. And Six Nations is one of the biggest reserves. And we have approximately between 65,000 to 70,000 residents living on reserve. So since I have gotten off back in work in April due to Six Nations Council's low funding, there was actually a variety of departments who were laid off of work or overall lost their jobs completely. There was a limit of ECE positions from my work who were able to keep their jobs and still work from home. Since Six Nations Reserve is like a sovereign nation, the federal law can only influence our structure of the community, but it cannot be effective until it has actually been passed through or more or less approved by Six Nations Band Council. So we have been pending in the second phase of reopening since it feels like forever. So there is actually a limited amount of people who are working on reserve now. So since I've gotten laid off back in April, I found as an ECE, I had to challenge my role and keep gaining all these new experiences and to actually try to manipulate my time during quarantine. So overall, after time, I miss job, I miss interacting with the children. And so I decided to volunteer my time during the day, teaching and assisting with e-learning, actually with my 4 younger cousins. I work with my cousins. One is in grade 7, 2 of them are in grade 5, and 1 of them are in grade 3. They actually attend an all-Mohawk immersion school located on our reserve. And I not only balance between the different grades and the different subjects and the Zoom meetings, but I also have to focus on the traditional languages and the cultural as well. So as an ECE, I believe it is our responsibility to challenge ourselves and to expand our own learning and to adapt to the new experiences and really try to take this as a learning opportunity to better ourselves and to better our practice.
That's a very powerful way of seeing things. Thank you. And we close this topic with Safa's ideas on this topic.
Okay. I always feel that our work is important because we are part of the children's well-being. We all want to add a lot of fun to their lives. After the pandemic started, I started to believe that our job is even more essential. When everything locked down back in March and the schools closed, we kept our centers open like many other daycares, to welcome the children of the frontline workers, including doctors, nurses, and police officers. When everything opened after the lockdown, I think we were the most sector that was challenged to work with young children who don't really understand much about what is going on. Our job meant to keep them safe, educate them, and at the same time to provide a playful environment to them. So many things in our school and classrooms have changed. For example, our classroom station only allow for only 2 people or 3 playing at the same station at one time. We had to cancel many big activities like group activities to help children to maintain social distance. We have also stopped encouraging children to share their toys or personal things. We also had to face big challenge of getting the children to wear face mask, especially since both the teachers and the children depend a lot on facial expressions to understand each other. So that was so hard.